So this week I'm staying on a farm about, 10-20 kilometres outside the town of Torquay. That was Torquay Beach that you saw at the beginning of the video, and I'm helping out on the farm, mostly doing gardening, and in return for that I get my board and lodging. So I'm doing lots of weeding and pruning. They've got a beautiful garden here and it's very relaxing. So if this is your first time here at my channel, welcome. I'm Helen and I post about my travels and my healing journey as I recover from, well, lots of things that have happened in my life, and including losing most of my money. And I am now travelling full-time and rebuilding my life for retirement. So I'm currently in Australia and I'm staying, not Torquay, Devon, but Torquay on the south coast of Victoria, which is a couple of 100 kilometres, I think, southwest of Melbourne, down on the south coast. And that sea you saw is very cold because there's nothing between there and Antarctica, and I'm a very keen sea swimmer. I used to swim all year round in the UK, and as part of my journey here is possibly looking for a way to move to Australia permanently. Now, I'm 62 years old, so the options are more limited once you're over 45. But one of them is if you have a skill that is on the skills gap, which I do because I'm a qualified maths teacher. So you would think they would welcome you with open arms. Well, it's not the schools, it's Australian bureaucracy, which is something else, because when you look at the beach and see all the people and think, oh, they're all chilled, they're laid back, they just live on the beach, their bureaucracy is something else. So in order to teach, I have to get my qualifications approved, which is fine. That's understandable, but you have to register. Each state, I think, has its own regulatory body. So in Victoria, it's the Victorian Institute of Teaching, and they want proof of my qualifications. As I said, that's fine, provide them with that. Oh no, we want to know what you studied at university, and when I say what you studied, it's all the units. So it's called an academic transcript. I'd never heard of it before, but basically it breaks down the course, and they want you to have done 4 years of post-18 education, which I have, but it doesn't fit their little boxes because I did it at 3 different places. And the first year was a year at university when I left school at the age of 18. So that was 81 to 82. And fortunately, I was able to get a letter confirming that I attended. So now my next challenge is getting the qualifications approved, which seems to be more important than the fact I've got over 20 years experience. And my subject is maths, which is a shortage subject here, as it is in the UK. So now I'm questioning, do I really want to teach? Or is it just a fear-based response? Because I left teaching 5 years ago. I didn't go back after the lockdown. I was working as a supply teacher, or as a relief teacher, as they call it here. They didn't want to put my pay up, and I was done with it because my pay hadn't gone up since 2006. So in 15 years, I hadn't had a pay rise. And I just didn't feel valued anymore. So now, obviously, my qualification is a bonus because that, in theory, could get me into Australia, get me sponsorship. There are schools out there willing to sponsor me, but it's getting past the bureaucracy. And part of me is thinking, is this, as I said, a fear-based response? Is it because I don't believe in myself enough that I can find another way? So there are a few other options once you're over 45. Obviously the skills route, as I mentioned, if you've got a skill they require. There's also partnership visa, if you've got a partner who's an Australian citizen, which I don't have. And looks like that's a whole another level of bureaucracy there, and it costs a lot of money as well. There is also a little bit too young at the moment, and I don't have enough of my family members here, but once you're over, I think, 67, you can apply for a parent visa if most of your family are permanent residents in Australia. I don't think they have to be citizens. So my son is here, my youngest son, but I've got 2 sons in London. So at the moment, obviously I don't have most of my family here, and he's not a permanent resident. He's thinking about staying here longer, but I don't know. Anyway, that's another option. And I think there was another one that's, as I mentioned, the skills of partner, the parent one. Oh, and the other one is the investment one. If you've got a lot of money, which is $5 million, which is roughly £2.5 million. And to be honest, compared to dealing with all the bureaucracy, sometimes I think, oh, it would be easier to raise $5 million than it would to go through all their box ticking system. So I'm sitting with that at the moment because I'm loving my life at the moment. As you can see here, it's beautiful, out in nature, swimming in the sea, gardening, delicious food, because I'm actually staying with the parents of the woman whose family I was working with in the last place I stayed at in the Blue Mountains. I came back with them, and her father is a wonderful cook, so I'm being very well fed. Just as well I'm doing all this swimming and gardening to burn off the calories. And my next leg of my travels is going back. I'm actually going back up to the Gold Coast, where I was in sort of Christmas, New Year time, around that area, because that's where my son lives. He's doing a triathlon later this month, late in March, so I'm going to go and support him, and also maybe look at opportunities for work in Queensland. I don't know, but as I said in my previous video, I'm letting life unfold. I'm not getting too stressed about anything because it all works out. I mean, the way it worked out for me to come back here, which was perfect because a lot of my stuff is in Melbourne at my friend's flat, so I can pick some of my stuff up and leave some stuff there when I go back travelling again. And I'll probably hire another camper van at some point as well. So that is what I'm loving at the moment. So perhaps, that ought to be my goal. I say ought to be, I've actually kind of started to think about that if I want to stay in Australia, raising that money, that $5 million to invest, because that's been a dream of mine since I was a child, to be a philanthropist. And I was reading about something about philanthropy yesterday, and you don't have to have a lot of money to be a philanthropist. Philanthropy is a Greek word, and it actually means a love of humanity. So it's showing kindness to others, which is my sort of, as you know, I also teach meditation, and that's goes with my philosophy in life, like do no harm. And with everything that's going on in the world, we need more love and less hate. So we can do our little bit towards that. I've gone off of a bit of a tangent here, and also it's like sending love to these people at the Victorian Institute of Teaching. They're people who aren't able to kind of think creatively, and they're so tied into the system. And that's another thing. Do I want to go back into that in the education system? I feel for the kids, they're the ones at the end of the day who are suffering through it all. But as long as this education system exists, I don't know if I can be part of that anymore, because it really goes against my values, which is wrong, isn't it? When that isn't why most teachers go into teaching in the first place. It's because they want to have a positive difference. And you can do that to a certain extent, but you're always up against these bureaucrats who've probably never worked inside school. And in fact, the CEO of the Victorian Institute of Teaching, I looked him up on LinkedIn, and he's just done bureaucratic jobs his whole life. He's never been a teacher. So these people don't understand what schools need, because what you do at university, and John, the guy who I was staying with, he's a doctor, and he said when he did his medical training, they told them, 5% of what you learn at university will be relevant. And it's true. It's the same with the teaching. Most of what I did at university I've forgotten. I mean, I did computer programming in 1981, 82, 44 years ago. I've never used it since. I wouldn't know how to program a computer. Those languages are probably obsolete anyway. So, and I would like to go into special education if I do go into teaching. And all the maths that I did at university, it's like high level maths. I'm going to be teaching children who maybe can't even add up. Does it really matter that I did group theory and linear algebra and differential equations at university? And I've forgotten how to do most of that as well. So, and I always used to say when I was teaching and that's why I love working with more challenging children, disadvantaged backgrounds, special needs and things, is because I feel that's where I can make a bigger difference. And I always used to say, we should be teaching them how to grow vegetables, how to build sheds, practical skills, cooking, things that they need for life. And with my subject maths, obviously numeracy skills are important, but a lot of stuff they do is irrelevant. It's not what they're going to need. Anyway, and that's why I struggle with the whole system. And it's about finding my way. And so my goal of raising $5 million, I'd be able to use that to make a difference in other ways, to help children from disadvantaged backgrounds. So who knows how it's going to unfold, but I'm going to set that out as a big, hairy, audacious goal. $5 million. Nothing's impossible. I'm here, aren't I? I would not have thought that possible a few years ago. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and please, do the usual things, like, subscribe, because part of my plan for my financial recovery is to monetize this YouTube channel. So every time you watch a video and engage, that puts it out to more people. It increases my hours and subscribers. So on my goal towards monetization. So as they say in a well-known supermarket in the UK, every little helps. So thank you again. Take care. Go well. Lots of love. Until next time, bye. I'm going to leave you at the end with a little clip of the dogs, because there are 8 dogs here, so you can enjoy a video of some dogs.